Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our scenario is Sunspots. It was written by Dave Sokolowski, and it's available from drivethrurpg.com. Our game master is Tyler Hudak, and this is episode 6. Our recap will be given by David Gasaway. So without further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. David?
It was a bitterly cold blizzard in February of 1926 when we set out from Arkham with our friend Daniel Peterson to try to retrieve his daughter from a religious retreat she was at in the small western Massachusetts town of Red Valley. But in Red Valley, it's the deepest of summers. The sun is off schedule, hot and oppressive, and the town is normally small, but now brimming with people, more every day. Many of them involved in one form or another of strange sun-worshipping cult. We managed to find Susan on the first day and lose her and Dan when she held up some strange egg-sized stone that glowed and blinded us all and left us stranded in time. Since then, we've learned that there were a couple of extremely successful archaeologists who had set up a strange business in town selling these stones, and they're the source of an ongoing group of cults. One of them, I believe, is dead. One of the two archaeologists, I think the other killed him. We finally met him, some of us, and engaged in a brief gunfight with a thug in his hire who's dead. But he escaped us, although we have a small, ravaged, blood-soaked bag of these supposed stones. Although we can't see them, we can feel them in the bag. We got out of town to hide from the oppressive sun and decided to keep a watch overnight until we tried our escape in the morning. But we couldn't manage to stay awake on our watch. Everyone fell asleep and shared a dream of a vast desert which held the ruin of an ancient ship and a group of robed figures who were worshiping a creature called Azathoth. In the morning, in the park in town, there is a huge throng surrounding the surviving archaeologists when Denby Parker, who is also chanting the name Azathoth. They're doing something to the town hall across from the park. We don't yet know what it is, but I fear for the worst.
Okay. I'm going to recap just a little bit based on what happened at the end. If you recall, when you woke up, you, like Mason said, you could hear the chanting and the crowds gathered in the park just outside the forest where you were at. Going to the edge of the forest, you could see into Pilgrim Park and how it was just littered with people. In fact, as you look up and down the streets towards the lake and back into the neighborhoods, the streets are just filled with cars, more so than you remember there being yesterday. Looking at the park, the population of the town has probably doubled or tripled since you have gotten here. Who knows how many days ago. At this point in time, it's unclear in your mind how long you've actually been here. But in the park, right in front of Town Hall, you can see Denby Partridge and Rebecca and their henchmen pulling down the glass covering on the tower clock that is in the apex of the town hall. And Denby is standing on a platform on the steps of Town Hall, just addressing the crowd who has just who has just gathered to hear him. And he says, we will gather here at sunrise to show our true appreciation of the sun. In the meantime, I challenge you to rid yourselves of the false idols and gods. Look inside yourself for the truth. Look look to your neighbor to make sure they can see the same truth you see. Do not be deceived. And with that, the crowd just erupts into cheers. And you can see all of the different groups that have kind of conjoined together. All of the worship groups just kind of start to gather together. And on one side of the park, you can see Priestess Celia, who has a very large group at this point, maybe 100 or so people. On the other side is Ramses, the sheriff, who has probably double that, if not more. It's so hard to tell with the sea of people in front of you. And various other smaller groups have kind of gathered around the park, and they're all just kind of looking at the other groups, unsure of what to do. And that's where we'll start.
Did you say that they were removing the covering off of the clock?
Yes, the glass covering.
So it's like the crystal that goes over the front of the clock.
Can we see Susan and her group?
Go ahead and give me a spot hidden roll.
Okay. I got a 12.
Okay, you can. So you're all kind of on the edge of the forest across the street from the park and from Town Hall. Looking through the crowd, you finally spot Susan. She's standing towards the back of the park with her group. She only has maybe a dozen or so people with her, but you can clearly see her, and they're all kind of gathered together. And actually, as you see her, Priestess Celia starts to walk. She kind of parts her crowd, and they all start to move towards where Susan is.
Can we see Daniel with her?
You don't see Daniel, no.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay, guys. What are we gonna do? What's the game plan here, Petey?
I'm thinking that Daniel's dead. We haven't heard or seen him in days.
Yeah, Oscar reappeared. And this is, as crowded as this town is, we've seen a lot of faces. We haven't seen his.
But the deputy was vaporized, so...
And he'd be looking for us. Do you think that they could use this clock? Sorry?
Unless he's just caught up in one of these groups.
Yeah, some of them are in pretty elaborate disguises, so it might be hard to see.
The thing is, as fanatic as they are at this point, I think even if we got him and Susan together, we would never be able to convince them to leave.
Yeah.
But the odds are extremely low that he's with another group. One, he would have gravitated towards his daughter. Number one. Number two, she was with us when he disappeared. So whatever happened to him is based around her.
And before we even came here, he was already suntanned and didn't remember anything.
What are we trying to achieve, guys? I mean, from what it sounds like we're talking about, we've kind of gone off the idea of trying to save Susan and Daniel and get them out of here. But I mean, what's stopping us from just trying to skip town now? Like, is there something? Do we want to take out this archaeologist guy? Like, what are we trying to do?
Well,
I'm wondering whether I'm wondering about the glass face of the town clock and whether it magnifies.
You know,
I killed some ants when I was a child with a magnifying glass.
Give me an idea roll.
that's what I was thinking too.
I fail.
I fail.
Ooh,
27.
So
Yeah, I passed.
So for those who passed, when Mason says that, you look over to where they're slowly lowering the glass covering of the clock with some ropes, and you look a little bit beyond that, and on the platform or the stage that Denby is standing on, you see a couple of other people kind of building almost like a holder, like this half circle holder. And when Mason says about the magnifying, that's exactly what it looks like that they're going to be putting that in there to make like some huge type of magnifying glass.
we could shoot holes in it.
Well, that might just make them mad. I mean,
they're already mad.
I think they're all insane. Whatever they think they're going to do with this magnifying glass. I mean, there's no alien god that they're going to be contacting, but they're probably
No, but whatever this radiation is that's driving people mad, maybe it can be magnified. Radiation is a form of light.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, Petey, I wasn't really listening when that guy was babbling, but I did hear one thing. Look to your friends and neighbors and make sure they know the truth or something like that.
That tells me there's going to be a bloodbath.
Exactly. We need...
What do you say we look for the nearest car that we can fit into, or cars that are not blocked in as ours are, and we get ourselves motivated and shoot their lens and maybe Denby on our way out of town?
Everybody give me a listen roll.
Motivated.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
I succeed.
I got a,
I made it.
Oh, 3.
I got a hard pass.
Yeah,
So for those who did anybody fail? I heard a lot of success.
I failed.
All right, so Odie, you're just kind of, you start looking around looking for any cars that you can find, and I mean the streets are just packed with cars. There are 3 or 4 deep on the cars or on the road. There's some on the grass, it just basically parked wherever they can, and you see this going throughout the entire town everywhere you look. You do think that maybe after a while you'll be able to find a car that you can
Whoa!
let me rephrase it. You can definitely find a car that you can hotwire or get into, but getting it out of town, that's going to be the difficult part.
We'll have to get all the way to the edge of town.
Wait. Why do we have to take a car from here? Why don't we walk up the road a little bit? People are coming in left and right. Just hijack a car, let them walk on in, and we're already halfway out of town by the time we do that.
We don't even have to hijack a town. We just go up and go, hey, valet parking. How you doing?
Right.
Read my mind again.
All right. So
Yeah, there are going to be 6 of us valet park in a car.
So those of while you're saying that, those of you who made your listen checks, and those of you who made hard or extreme, you hear 2 different things. Those who just made it, you can hear over by where Susan is that Priestess Celia has gone over to her and is just screaming at her, calling her a false god or a worshiper of false gods. And she's starting to get aggressive towards her. And Susan has a very small group, and Priestess Celia's group is much larger, and they're moving more and more aggressively toward her. In fact, at this point, you can see Priestess Celia go and basically shove Susan to the ground and start demanding that she hand over her stones to a worshiper of the true God. Those who got a hard or extreme success, here on the other edge, or here down the road towards the lake, somebody's screaming as a crowd is yelling at them that they are proprietors of false hopes and of fake stones.
Yeah, the shit's going down. Should we save Susan? She is a friend, even if she's deluded at this point.
Against all of those people?
Well, I don't know. It's just a moral imperative. We're standing here in our friend's daughter.
I think it's chloroform time, man.
But I'd rather than let them kill her right in front of us.
Yeah, and if her father is dead, because we couldn't protect him when he brought us here to save his daughter, it seems like if there's a chance of extracting her, it's really our duty.
Well,
and we're armed, and these people are all crazy.
There's something else that this is just a little meta, but the fact is that we're players playing a game. The truth is, our friend and his daughter have been ruined by these people, and they're probably going to die, and that makes me really mad. I want to fuck these people over for doing this to my friends.
Why don't if some of us cause a distraction and we smash the glass, and then while that distraction's going on, the rest of you grab Susan?
Hey, I got an idea. There's cars everywhere, right? Cars use gasoline. They're all packed in tight close. You know, a little match.
Chain reaction.
Molotovs.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty powerful distraction.
Oh, jeez. I'm going to run up to this beautiful Buick and be like, well, we can't burn this one. Look at it.
Look at those gleaming fenders.
Well, we all get to pick our own car and then drive out of here in our own brand new car.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's worth making up
run over there and help Susan, even though it's dangerous. We've got some arms.
Yeah, I took a weapon from the dead bodyguard, so
Yeah.
we're pretty well armed.
Okay, so we're armed, but they have a stone that can vaporize you into ash.
Well,
Right, but for
That's
some
why
reason,
we need the distraction.
Susan can't vaporize Celia, and
Yeah, but the
Celia
normal-
apparently can't vaporize Susan, or she wouldn't be pushing her.
we don't have much time to discuss this either. You stay here, Robert, if you want to. Maybe that's the smartest thing to do, but
Yeah, Robert,
I'm
give
not
me
saying
the,
I like
not
the
go.
idea of
give
I'm
me the
not
weapon
saying not
again.
go.
Give
I'm
me the
just
gun
saying
again.
is the odds are not against it or not for us.
Okay,
when
let's.
are they ever?
I'm
if we
gonna.
can just drag her out of here. Yeah.
Right, let's. I recommend that we split up. We send 2 or 3 people to grab Susan if we can. We send a couple of people to cause mayhem. I'm going to look for a tree I can climb from which I can shoot Rebecca, Denby, Marcus in that order, and or their lens. Because if I shoot from a tree, it's going to take a while to figure out where I am.
Yeah,
Okay, how about Petey and Butch? You guys try and grab Susan. Odie and me will cause the distraction by blowing up the cars, and then Robert and Mason, you go up and start shooting, and Robert, you try and smash that sphere, the golden, not the glass mirror
Right,
thing.
the lens, yeah.
Yeah, how's that sound?
All right, let's
Sounds
go.
like a plan. Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's do it.
So the 4 of us go running towards where
Hey,
Susan
Robert,
is.
can I get your gun? The gun you took from me back then.
Heck no.
Come on, I need it for protection. Come on.
Heck no.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so
Hello.
the 4 of you take off. Which one of these again? There's Peter, Odie, and who else?
But,
So
yeah.
me and Odie are going off to blow up cars,
Oh,
and
okay,
Butch
all right.
and Petey are going off to grab Susan.
Well, we need somebody to fight these people off that we're grabbing Susan away from.
That's Mason, yeah.
All right, and then Mason
All right.
and Robert are going over to Susan as well.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do the 4 of you first. You start running over just as.
Sorry, I was gonna try to climb a tree and take pot shots
Okay.
at the leads.
Right.
All right, it's gonna. We'll say it's gonna take you. Go ahead and give me a climb roll. We'll do that really fast. If you can get a position.
Oh, terrible! So it's gonna take me a minute.
Yeah, it's gonna take you a minute to get up a tree and get a good. And actually, in fact, you can't really find a tree that you can get up. However, you do see that there's a house that has a back window overlooking the park. That is gonna take you a couple minutes to get into, but you.
Sounds much better.
yeah, book suppository.
So,
Depository, not suppository.
Depends on how it works out.
The other 4 of you, or the other, I guess 3 of you, start running over to where Susan is, and Priestess Celia is screaming at her. You see that she's holding some type of staff, and she's holding the staff above her. And as you get there, she comes down onto Susan, and Susan instinctively holds her arms up, and the stick or the staff hits her arms, and her stones just go flying all over the place. Susan goes into almost like a kind of curls up into a ball and starts crying as Priestess Celia stands up and looks around and addresses both Susan's and her worshipers, saying, see what a false god looks like. Come worship me and worship a true God.
well, I'm running with all my might towards them, and I'm just going to barrel into Cecilia and knock her flat. So that who's with me? Butch?
I guess I am.
Butch and Robert.
Butch and Robert can grab Susan.
But Butch is with you. Robert's meant to be going to smash the lens.
Okay, so Butch, you're going to grab Susan.
Yeah,
Drag her away.
running straight up at Susan.
And then I'm just going to run with them. I'm just going to knock her down.
Okay. Robert, what are you doing again as you're going through this?
I guess I'm destroying the lens.
Oh, so you're not going with the three of them?
I thought
No.
Mason was.
Oh, okay. But Mason's up. All right, so let me make sure that I'm getting this straight. So Peter and Butch are going to Susan. Mason's going up to shoot. Odie and Oscar, you're going to try to find the car, correct?
Right.
All right. And then Robert, you're going to try to shoot out the glass as well. Okay. All right, Peter, you go barreling right into Celia, and you are able to just knock her flat down. She doesn't even see you
coming. Okay. I got a 21 on my brawl anyway, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just barrel into her and knock her flat. And then the others should be grabbing Susan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not waiting to fight. I'm going to then run after them. So
she just goes down, and all of her worshipers just gasp in unison and just run to her to her aid. They seem to be ignoring you for a second.
Do her stones go flying when she's knocked down?
Yeah, they went flying all over the place.
And how many? I mean, we've only seen them handling one before. They're handling a number now, apparently.
Yeah, it looked like she had a couple. All right, so let's jump over to Odie and Oscar. Where are you going to go to try to find a car?
Well, they're all over, aren't they?
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean they're everywhere. The problem is, most of them are packed in. You're probably going to have to, if you want to try to find one like on the edge, you're probably going to have to go to the edge of town almost to find it. But you think you might be able to find a car that has enough room through like the yards that you might be able to get through.
Oh, we're trying to blow it up. We're not trying to get away. We're causing a distraction.
By blowing up cars.
Yeah, but I thought we were going to do that before. Okay. I thought the distraction was going to be before he went to take Susan back. That's what I thought the distraction would be.
We have a second or two, so.
So if not, then
but to be fair, this is happening while they've run off.
Your distraction is.
If we've gone straight to the car, it literally could be happening at the same time.
Oh yeah, it is happening at the same time.
All right. So let's just pick any car.
Yeah, car that's closest to us that's packed in, so that it'll be a chain reaction.
Okay.
Rip a piece of fabric, stick it in. I'll pour a little bit of my liquor on it, light it up, and run. Nothing complicated, nothing fancy.
Okay. Give me a luck roll between the two of you. Whoever has the lowest luck.
My luck's pretty high. I haven't used any.
Mine's pretty high as well.
I got a 70, so.
I got a 62.
All right, so you roll.
Oh, no, I mean, in total, I have a 76.
Oh, you active luck.
Yeah, 76.
Oh, yeah, so I'll roll. 19.
All right.
Nice.
You find one. You get you're able to stuff a cloth in there into the gas tank, and you light it, and you figure you have about a minute before it goes up.
All right.
Robert, how are you going to position yourself?
Well, is the glass one piece, or is there like metal grill work in it and stuff like that?
There's metal grill work around the outside edges, but the glass itself is just one big glass piece.
Okay, so I have a Luger. I'm thinking if I shoot it a couple times, it should just crumble.
Yeah, if you hit it, yeah.
It'd be kind of hard to miss something that big, but.
Well, except that you're probably 300 yards away.
Yeah, I mean, how far are you going to be? I mean, remember, you're the only way to get a full, like, dead-on shot of it is to go into the middle of the park where there's hundreds and hundreds of people.
We're on the edge.
Wait for the explosion and take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the explosion that we were supposed to get. So I'm going to set up to fire and get the wait for the explosion and then start popping off rounds trying to blow up the glass.
Okay. So you give me a I don't know. Give me a luck roll. Then we'll see how well you get into position.
Ooh, that's a 29 out of 49.
All right, so you're able to find a position. You're not quite in the middle of the park. You're kind of off to the side, so there's not many people around you, and you think you have a pretty good aim. So this is what happens after say about 30 seconds or so after Odie and Oscar light the thing on the car. Mason, you're up in the house by then, and it looks like you have a fairly good aim at Denby and all of them. Looking at that, it's probably about 50 yards away, so it's not that bad of a shot. Peter and Butch, you both, Peter, you've knocked over Susan, and by this time you both are running back. Kind of like Susan is just in tears, bawling, and kind of, so you're kind of having to half drag her. Fortunately, it doesn't look like anybody is really following you.
Right.
As you get about halfway across the park, you hear a voice just kind of bellow out over the crowd, louder than you expect it should be, and you immediately recognize it as Denby's. And Denby is yelling, "Heretics! Heretics! They are trying to stop the ceremony. Get them! Get the heretics!" And you look up and you can see that Denby is pointing directly at Peter and Butch as you're dragging Susan. And it's at this point that the explosion goes off. One car goes off, then another, and then it's almost like a chain reaction where somebody give me a D10 roll.
70.
All right, we'll go with 8. So 8 cars, almost one right after the other, explode. Some taking out some buildings. Everybody in the park just dives to the ground. And it's at this point that Mason and Robert, you can both take your shots.
All right.
You were ready for the
Empty
explosion.
the clip. Empty the clip. Pow. What does Luger have?
51 for a 60
shots?
on a handgun. So a success.
Luger, I think, is 6.
Well, you can do 3 because you're firing in one round. Mason,
Okay.
shot, or you made it?
Ooh, 02. That's
right.
critical.
Nice.
Mason, who are you shooting at?
Denby.
Okay. Go ahead and roll damage.
I don't know what handgun I took from the thug. So what number?
Here, I can tell you.
38 revolver.
It's a 45.
45, yeah.
So it's a 1d10 plus 2.
45.
That is 9 and 11.
Yes.
So
Which for 45 at that distance is pretty impressive, but maybe he's magnetic.
Maybe
So
the stress just makes you a really good shot.
I had time to set up.
Robert, the shot from you goes and hits the glass just as they're trying to mount it onto that platform, and just explodes. At the same time, Denby, as he's shouting at Peter and Butch, Mason, you shoot him right in the chest, knocking him back off the platform, and he falls back. Mason, I guess everybody give me spot hidden rolls.
5. Hey,
I
that's
succeed.
good.
I passed just.
19, which is hard.
I got
I'm too busy anyway.
a 99. I'm just staring at the explosion like nice.
So when that happens, those of you who made it, you can see him fall back, and you see him, clutching a stone in his hand. And as he falls back and tumbles off the platform, You see him go from out of view, but then you see like this glowing occurring from behind the platform. What are you all doing at this point? The place is kind of in chaos. They seem to have temporarily forgotten about Peter and Butch.
I'd say we need to find a car.
Susan, where's your father? I
She,
say to her.
she's just sobbing uncontrollably. She's just almost inconsolable. If you want, give me a psychology roll to see if you can try to get her out of it.
Well, I've got 10. I got a 5.
You guys are saving all your good rolls for the end.
Yes.
You shake her a little bit, and she finally snaps out of it.
Snap out of it.
She looks at you, kind of bewildered for a second. The explosions are, there's still another explosion in the back as another car catches on fire, and she goes, "What? My father's here? My father's here. I don't know. He's got to be around here somewhere. We have to find him." And she starts, just frantically looking around.
These people are going to murder us all. We've got to get out of here.
She says, "I won't leave without my father. We've got to find him."
Wait, one of us has to take her to safety while the other goes looking for her father.
Yeah.
No,
Where
did you see him last?
We'll find your father.
The
At
last
this
thing
point,
we remember
would Odie have caught up with them?
Yeah, by
Yeah,
this time you would have gotten there. Robert, I'll say that you've gotten to them as well. Mason, I assume you're not going to sit up there and start shooting everybody.
My instinct in isolation is if I can get Rebecca and Marcus, who I consider co-conspirators, I would take those shots before I would come downstairs.
All right, well then go ahead and give me another roll.
46. So that's a success, a regular success for handgun. And I think I would get Rebecca before Marcus. I think Marcus is just muscle.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Another 9.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
Angry gun.
well, what happens is as you do that, after the first shot, Rebecca ran over to the edge of the platform where
The weird glowing is.
Yeah, and you're able to basically just hit her in the back at the base of the spine, and she just screams and falls forward. The rest of you,
and the glow is what color?
it's like a almost warm yellowish glow.
All right. Who would have think that Mason was a marksman?
Hey, I'm a PI.
So
I was
what
no
are the rest of you doing at this point? You hear another gunshot go off.
I'm
Can
looking.
we still see the glowing?
The glowing kind of like gets bright for about 10 seconds and then immediately fades away.
Okay.
Butch, take Susan back to our camp and get everything ready because we got to go.
Yeah, and I asked Susan, because right now I think I'm carrying her. I decided to put her down and say, "Can you run? Can you walk on your own?"
Oh, sorry. She says yes and starts to continue on with
Okay, cool. So then I said, "Follow me," and then now I'm going to take her to safety. I'm probably going to take her to the place where in the forest I think a safe spot still works. Okay. So I think we'll go there and we'll wait out, and once we recoup, we'll escape.
Okay, so you start heading that way. The rest of you, what are you doing?
Well, I'm
all have
sort of looking for her father, but I'm like, I ain't going into that crowd.
Give me so those of you who are looking for her father, give me a spot hidden roll.
I failed.
I failed.
I got a 26.
Let's see.
Is that a
I have 50.
No, it's a hard pass.
75.
I got a hard pass.
All right, so Oscar and Robert, you both hear coming from a little bit south of where you're at, towards the lake. The crowd that you heard from before just yelling things about, false seller of stones and, false idol and false worshipers. And as you look to the south, towards about halfway between where you're at and to the lake, you can see a crowd of about 10 people gathered around two individuals. One is Bob Jenkins, the kind of the street seller that you saw earlier, and the crowd is just laying into him, taking stones off the ground and throwing at him and hitting him. And being held right next to him is Susan's father. The crowd is yelling at him, saying how you can only make out about how they're. You can make out that they're yelling at him about owning a false stone and how he's a worshiper of false gods, and they're just in a frenzy going after him.
I pointed out to the other guys, and I just start running off towards that group.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm gonna head. Pete, let's go. Let's get this guy and let's get the hell out of here.
Oh, I'm with you. I thought I was on the other side of the crowd by now.
We caught up with you.
Yeah, we came back to find you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's get him. You guys still have ammo, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I get to the group, I just fire like 2 shots into the sky, like right behind them, and just fire 2 shots in the sky.
I'll be behind him in case they react. I have it trained on the group of guys.
I think the explosion was an awesome thing because that really distracted everybody.
All right, so you let's see here, Robert, what are you doing?
I guess we're going after Daniel.
Okay, so you're going with him.
Yeah.
Mason, are you going to come down at this point?
I assume that Marcus, lacking a patron, has mingled into the crowd somewhere.
But once the 2 shots went off, he dove behind the platform
into where the increasingly bright, weird, warm sun is dawning.
Yeah, and out of view.
Out of view. So I'm going to, and from my vantage, I might have been able to spot some of the gang, right?
Yeah, you probably saw Butch and Susan and me.
So I've got 2 options: going back to base camp or following the gang, and I think I should follow the gang.
Okay.
Because we're better off together. So it's going to take me probably a little bit to get across the park.
It's gonna take you a little bit to catch up. But so the other 4 of you run down to where that group is, and Oscar, you take your gun and you fire it in the air, and it doesn't seem to have an effect on them except for them turning around and looking at you. And when the entire crowd turns around and looks at all of you, you can see how they have almost a madness in their eye and a frenzy. And the stones have just, or not the stones, the shots have really just turned their attention from Daniel Peterson and Bob Jenkins, who is now basically slumped over, blood oozing out of his head onto the ground, and towards you. And one of them looks at you and says, "Are you a worshiper of a false god?"
No,
that guy that turns and looks at me, I just shoot him square in the face. I'm trying to intimidate the shit out of them.
Go ahead and roll.
Praise the sun.
I scream, as a father.
What am I rolling?
The heretics are over there.
Just you're close enough. Just roll and as long as you don't get a critical failure, you're good.
I got a 9.
Oh yeah. So you, as he says that, you do that, and just like you expected, you're about 2 feet away from him, and you just blow him away. He goes falling back, and at that point, the rest of them just start charging all of you.
Like I told you, I was already trained on them, so I'm gonna let loose a couple shots.
Oh, you just
okay. Go ahead and roll. We'll do you first.
23.
I guess I might as well open fire too.
Okay, so we'll say that just takes one person out.
Now, I could take 3 shots with a revolver?
Yes.
All right. Should I roll all 3 or?
Yeah, go ahead and roll the other 2.
54. No, that's a miss.
Should I roll my other 2 as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I hit miss, hit.
I got a miss and a hit.
Okay, so between the 2 of you, you're able to take out 3 more before they even get close to you. But that still leaves 5 just coming right at you.
Well, what about me, though?
Go ahead and roll.
Okay, Peter, grab Daniel, run.
Well, there's a whole crowd between us and Daniel.
Yeah.
I am what I'm going to try to do is
3.
duck down. I'm going to try to duck down and move sideways so that I can get around the ones rushing towards us to Daniel.
You said if we don't critical fail, then we still would hit?
Yes.
Okay, so
You
that's...
can't miss shooting into a crowd.
Yeah.
Oh,
I hit all 3 times then.
Okay, you
Don't shoot me.
take out 3 more as they're running at you, but there's still 4 of them left. Peter, I'm sorry. What did you say that you were going to do?
What I do is when this whole thing, when Oscar shoots his first gun, I hunker down and I go to the side so that I can sort of skirt around the crowd that's now rushing towards us and get to Daniel.
Okay. The first one runs right at you, Robert. He is just gonna try to punch you. You can either dodge or fight back.
I'll fight back.
Okay, go ahead. Roll fighting brawl.
Oh, yeah, easy. Bam! Right in the head.
All right.
So that...
yeah, go ahead and roll damage.
It's... All right, hang on a second. Wait a minute, let me check to make sure what it is. A D3 and a D4. Seven.
Okay, you hit him. He tries to do a haymaker at you, and you're easily able to step out of the way, and you lay right into him, breaking his nose in the process, and he stumbles back, but he's still, he's in pain, but he's still up. The next one comes after Oscar. He's got a very large stick that he's going to try to swing at you. You can either dodge or fight back.
As I did my last gunshot, I kind of put my gun back and pulled out my blackjack. So yeah, I'm gonna fight back.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Okay, come on. 22.
What type of success is that?
That is a hard.
Okay, you got a better success. So he comes at the stick, swings down right at you. You easily sidestep, and you take your blackjack and just hit him right across the head. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay, so it's a 1d8 plus damage bonus, which is a 4. So that. Okay, so 7, 10.
All right, you hit him across the back of the head, and he just goes down, and he does not get up. The next one comes after Odie. Same thing. He's got some type of metal pipe. He comes, swinging at you. What are you going to do?
I'll fight back. I have a good fighting brawl, so.
All right, go ahead.
I, by the way, used stealth to circumnavigate the crowd.
You make it.
Successfully.
He's just flipping.
26 out of 70.
Okay, you got it. Go ahead
Like this.
Go ahead and roll damage.
It's just a D3.
Yeah.
Well, I rolled a 4, so a 3.
Okay. He comes at you. He kind of stumbles a little bit as he does, and you sidestep and just hit him with your fists. It kind of knocks him to the side a little bit, but he recovers quickly.
Could I hit him with the revolver? Just hit him with the butt of the revolver?
Yeah, but it would be the same damage.
Okay.
And then the last one is looking kind of confused. He was heading towards Peter, and then Peter, you kind of sidestepped and kind of moved around the crowd, and he lost where you're at.
Okay.
So we'll go back to the start again. I think by this time, Mason, you're about there as well. You see all of this going on. We'll start with Robert. What are you doing?
Punch again.
Go ahead.
I hit him.
All right. Go ahead and roll.
Five.
Oh, that immediately takes him down. He tried to lunge at you as you did that, but he misjudged how far away you were, and just left himself open. And you hit him on the back of the head he just falls to the ground. Oscar, you're next. What are you doing?
Grabbing Daniel, throwing him over my shoulder, and yelling to the guys, "Let's go!"
Okay, so you start running towards Daniel. You get there about the same time Peter does.
Right. Is he tied up, or is he just?
He was being held by somebody. He wasn't being tied up.
Right. Well, if there's somebody holding him, I once again smash them out of the way.
Yeah, no, they let him go, and he kind of fell to the ground. His face is all beat up,
Okay.
and he's just kind of he looks really, really out of it.
I grab him by the shirt and I lean over and I say in his ear, "It's us. We're here to rescue you. Come on," like this. And I pull him to his feet and start running with him. And then I see Oscar, and Oscar helps.
Okay. Odie, what are you doing then?
I'm going to swing at if somebody's trying to still stop us, I'm just going to swing with the butt of the gun and throw another punch.
Yeah, there's still two in the crowd.
All right, so fighting brawl. Ow, 95.
So you swing at the guy. He steps to the side and takes a swing at you and misses as well. By this time, Mason, you've come up. You see this going on? You see Peter and Oscar have grabbed Daniel Peterson. The other two are still kind of fighting two more of these people.
Running across the park, is this like a colony of ants that got a bucket of water poured on them and they're all moving in different waves? Like, because there was a focal rally and the focus has been broken. So what's happening as I run through the park? What am I seeing?
So initially, once all the explosions happened and once all the gunshots started happening, that's kind of what it looked like, where everybody just started to scatter. But very quickly, by the time that you're running across the park, they've started to recover a little bit. You can see some of the groups forming up again, where Priestess Celia's group is crowding around her. Ra's group is doing the same. Some of the other smaller groups that had their own worship groups, such as the Presbyterian Church that Susan came with, you can see them. They're trying to decide which group they're going to go with. You can almost sense that they feel that it's better to join one of these two larger groups for protection, if for nothing else.
But they're not focusing on the dawn-like light behind the platform.
That has gone by now. It only lasted for about 10 seconds.
Oh, that was a brief. Okay, I thought that was something that was maybe expanding, but
Hey, these guys that we just kicked their ass, were they in any kind of a costume?
No, they were wearing just regular 1920s clothes, except they were pretty dirty and beat up, so ripped a little bit. They've obviously been in town for a while.
And mostly these people are super tan and whatnot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we have two people with Daniel. Who's with Susan?
Butch is with Susan. They've ran into the forest.
Okay.
And there's two guys still trying to kill Odie and Robert.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'll catch my breath for a second and take a shot at somebody who's attacking the group.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both within range, and you can choose either one.
I've shot 3 times from a 45.
Yes, twice.
81, 61. No, 81. Keep down.
So you shoot, and it goes wild. Which one of you? Excuse me. Which one of you has the highest intimidate?
Intimidate.
It's not me. I've got a standard 15.
Mine's 70.
All right, go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll intimidate.
Mine's 15.
40.
With everything that's going on, the two, one of them is uninjured, but the other one is has been punched or something, and is hurting. And they finally decide that coming up against 5 of you is not probably the smartest thing to do. So they start heading back to the park. As they're heading back to the park, you could hear them yelling, "The heretics are over here."
Time to go.
With that, Butch, are you and Susan have made it back to the one area in the forest?
Yeah.
She's kind of panting, and she falls to the ground and starts, silently crying a little bit more. What are you going to do? Anything?
I'm going to try to knock her out of it. I'm like, from a distance, I say, Susan, get up. Peter will find your father. We're going to get out of this mess.
Okay. Give me a charm roll.
Ask her some questions.
Oh yeah, critical success.
Oh, she kind of sucks in her breath. The tiara or whatever she had that she had fashioned, she kind of feels it on her head and takes it and looks at it and just kind of throws it off and stands up and says, "Yes, we need to get to some place so that when they find us that we can just get out of here."
Yeah, and as I'm running, I'm trying to ask her a couple of questions. I'm like, where did you find the rock? Who gave it to you? And how did you get into this mess? And a bunch of questions.
She just says, as you're running, she says, I bought it. I bought it at the Soul store, the Sunstone shop. I don't even know what its name is, but I bought it there after we saw, I saw what it could do with the church. We just happened to stumble upon one, and the pastor, he just he wouldn't let anybody else have one, but I wanted one, and it just took me over. She says, I don't know what happened. Where are my stones? And for a second she gets this almost like obsessed look in her face, or in her eyes, and she starts looking around frantically, going, where did my stones go? Where did they go? I need to get them back.
They all broke off when Celia hit you. They're gone. But don't worry, don't touch the stones. They were dangerous for you.
No, we need to go back and get them.
No, we're not going there. We're not going back. Listen to me. How did you use the stones? Like, did something talk to you?
I don't. Well, yes, I could feel something as I held it. I could feel something. I don't know if talk is the right word, or that it was communicating to me. I could see the universe. I could see everything that was going on, and I just knew how to use it. I can't explain how or why.
Okay. That sounds interesting. Okay, let's wait here for a while. Hopefully, in maybe an hour, Peter and everyone will come back with your father, and then we can escape this place. And it'll all be behind us.
Oh, okay. And she, you had such a great success before with the with the charm roll that she just kind of sits down. Is very jumpy at every noise in the woods, but is just kind of satisfied for the moment to be standing there. The rest of you start running away. Which way are you heading?
We're heading back to where we were. We have all of our stuff. Also, okay. If I see anybody try to hit Odie, I'm gonna pull out my gun and shoot him.
Okay.
Shoot Odie.
Well, yeah. That makes total sense, doesn't it?
You don't get to
Simplifies
shoot him. I
things.
do.
Well, all I've got is a Derringer, so
Well, if anyone
no, I
sneezes, I'm going to hit Butch.
I have a Beretta 9mm.
Yeah, you had a better gun than I do.
So if you guys look at the map, we'll say that where you found Daniel Peterson was kind of at the corner of Maine and Washington. So it's right next to Our Lady of Loretto, the Catholic church or whatever it was.
Okay.
Which way are you going to head, and how are you going to do that?
Well, I
To
guess
get back to the forest would be to head north.
right. We're going to have to head back up Main Street, and then after we cross Adams, we're going to go back into the forest on the
Shouldn't
right
we
hand.
go along the tree line though? Shouldn't we go
Yeah, get off the main
to
street.
the edge of town and then move
Yeah,
up?
but wouldn't all the people still be gathered around? I mean, you know, all the center mass was, and they're starting to freak out, so they're going to be attacking each other. We
No,
should be fairly.
the guy ran after them, saying the heretics are over here. They're after us.
Yeah, and we're
Our
not there.
cover is blown. Yeah, well, they know which way we are and which way we were going.
If then we run, you said we're on Washington and Maine. If we run past the church, which is just to the right of us,
Right.
we'll hit the woods where the hot springs are, and then we can travel north until we get to Adams Avenue, and cross that into the forest where we're hiding.
Okay.
Going north.
And if we move with any degree of
Stealth.
caution, we can also have somebody with a firearm picking off whoever.
Yeah, but if you
first.
start shooting a firearm, you're going to be drawing a sign to us.
Yeah, in time. But if
I'm reloading my gun as we run.
me
by the way.
too.
If
Yeah.
You all were.
if while people are viewing us, we run southeast down Washington and then turn up into the woods, they might think that we're going in that direction when in fact we've kind of doubled back and we're going up through the woods. They won't know where we've gone.
I like that start. Also, what's happening with the sun and the lake right now?
So so you guys are going down Washington and kind of circling around, almost doubling back that way. Is that what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah, to throw people off track if they're following us.
Okay, and I'm assuming you're not just running down the road. You're
Right. We're dodging between buildings. And
okay. So you're going down there. You get to the end of Washington Road, and Mason, as you start to look up to see where the sun is, you notice that everything is getting dark. It seems that somehow the sun has started to go down and to set.
And
Ooh.
my watch says it's when?
It's about 2 p.m.
And the occultation isn't a cloud. It's just a darkening.
No, in fact, there are no clouds in this. Well, everybody give me, except for Butch, you're kind of in with Susan. Everybody give me sanity checks.
Passed.
I passed. Yep.
So
Not a
if you-
chance.
23 is good.
So if you passed D2,
Wow.
if you failed a D4.
One. I lost one.
3 points.
1 point.
Does that put you over the edge, or are you still okay?
I'm at 28 points right now.
Out of what?
40.
You're going to have to be institutionalized for a while.
Yeah, you.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah,
I thought he
gonna
had
be
to before anyway.
All right. So what happens is as you look, the sky or the area around you is everywhere. It rapidly starts to get dark, and as you look up, you look and see there's not a cloud in the sky except for it's almost like the area above Red Valley is just completely without clouds. However, almost encircling the entire area around Red Valley for like miles out, you can see the storm clouds, the snow clouds. So it's almost like the clouds are above Red Valley have disappeared. And when you looked up, by the time you look up, it got dark so rapidly that you expected to see stars in the sky. But looking up, the entire sky is completely black, as if all the stars have been totally, have just totally disappeared.
Is it like a black disk is occluding the sky behind it, or as though
that would actually be a good description?
What happens to the sun? I mean, does it just go out or disappear, or does it go below the horizon?
You could see the last glimpses of it going down behind the horizon.
Okay. Weird. And now the people are all going to go freaking crazy because they go crazy when the dark comes.
Yeah, but it's easier for us to get around in the dark.
Yeah, and they're going to be hungry, so they're going to run for food.
Yeah, and they're going to be disorganized and not have magic stone lasers.
So let's sneak as best we can. I think they're stones.
But I think we have very little time. And when the blizzard that is all around this collapses back, it's going to get very cold very fast. So we should be looking
a lot of these
for
people are not dressed
vehicles.
for winter.
We should not be getting in a jalopy. We should be getting into a closed vehicle.
Let's get back to camp and
As soon as possible.
grab the others and then get the hell out of here.
So you start heading up kind of Boardwalk Street. You run past the spa, the hotel and spa, cut through the woods, going past the hot springs, and finally cut across Adams Avenue towards back towards the forest where you're going. By the time you get to Adams Avenue, two things happen. The first is the sun actually starts to rise again. It's only, as far as you can tell, it has only been 15, 20 minutes at most. The second thing that starts to happen is almost as soon as you hit Adams Street, you can hear the crowd in Pilgrim Park just erupt in cheers and screams of joy. And above all of that, you can hear a voice saying, "Now is our moment in the sun together. The God of the sun has allowed us to worship him faster than we ever expected." And that voice is Denby Partridge's.
Yeah. This radiation is healing them. I'm not so sure that we shouldn't just keep going north and get the hell out of if we have to walk out of here.
Get the hell out of Dodge.
Is the snow line that we've seen across the lake consistent, or has the snow receded?
No, it's oh, you mean on the outskirts, like in the mountains around?
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's stayed pretty consistent.
So maybe we can drag ourselves and the Petersons out of here on foot, because I don't know what's going to happen with the roads.
Well,
and
we've got guns.
If we can get all the way up to Jackson Avenue on the outskirts of town, I assume that's going uphill from where we are.
Yes.
The valley town.
And then we try to... Do some of these other roads lead out of town?
Yeah, so the one that you came in was Franklin Avenue on the south. That was the route that takes you to Evergreen. If you look on the map to the east, you should see a road called Mining Camp Road.
I see it.
That leads off, to where the mines were. The other roads up that kind of lead off to the north are other roads that lead into the mountains.
Okay.
You're not sure where they go because you didn't go through that.
Well, how about if we go all the way up to Jackson Avenue, across to River Road, and see if we can sneak through the woods all the way back down. See, there's a little off road, a little thin road that sort of goes along the right hand side of the river.
I think that's a stream.
Because it's next to the stream. It's going past the waterfall. And
yeah, I think that's either a stream or a footpath.
Well, if it's a footpath, we'll follow the footpath back down towards Franklin Avenue and then grab a car on the edge of town.
Okay.
The two biggest cars we could find that look warm.
Okay. All right. So by this
Avoiding
time, we've made it back to where Butch and Susan are, and and Susan and her father just grab each other in an embrace, and Daniel is just beat up. He's hurting. You kind of had to almost drag him as you went through the woods on your way back. But they're both very relieved to have to be with each other.
Now, also, if we get up high in the town, all the way up to the top, and start moving around, can we see down the hill into the Pilgrim's Park where everything is going on?
Yeah, you would be able to.
What's going on down there?
So is that what you're doing? You're starting to head north up?
We got to get out of here. They said everything was coming down at sunset or sunrise, which is right now.
Yeah, and yesterday he said tomorrow is the great day, and then if you missed it, I shot him, and I think he died. So the fact that we're hearing his voice means that we are in a very dire situation.
Yeah, if I figure if he can disintegrate people, he can also heal himself with his magic rock.
Yeah, but he doesn't have his glass anymore.
Well, that's for sure.
Although I assume it's easier to make a lens than it is to reanimate a dead body.
Yeah.
He was using it.
With a punch bowl and some ice, they could make a lens if they wanted to.
All right, so you start heading north, and you're making your way towards Jackson Avenue. Is that correct?
Correct.
First? All right. So you start heading north. Everybody give me spot hidden rolls.
34 success.
I succeed.
I got an 02.
Normal success.
So those who made it, those who didn't make it, you're at this point you're kind of out of breath. Your eyes are starting to focus in and out. It's hard to focus on things because if nothing else, the sun now is even closer than it has been. It is probably 110 degrees out. It's very difficult to move. The heat is just very oppressive. Those of you who made your roll, you look down, you get up to, we'll say where Madison Avenue is, and you can look down into Pilgrim Park, and you see just the crowds have just joined together into this one very large group, and they all appear to be just standing very still, holding hands and holding each other, and chanting over and over again. And it's hard to make out their words from where you're at with all of the noise bouncing off all of the trees and the houses, but you distinctively make out the words Azathoth multiple times throughout this.
Hey, Petey, they're doing that creepy circle thing again.
Yeah, don't look at it.
Oh, so there are no more factions anymore. So they're all together as one.
They're talking about that Azathoth again.
Is there an obvious light source down there or a reflective place?
No, not that you can see.
Okay. What do you think about trying another chain reaction, sending something down a hill to burn this place up as we get out of town?
I think that would just be giving away our position.
Well, if we lit a car and set it rolling down a hill,
Well, it would be very difficult to do because the streets are just lined with cars. You would have to get it to go through the grass, and unless somebody was going to volunteer to drive it.
The roads also aren't straight.
I'll drive it.
We're talking about a
There you go. There you go. Butch is going to drive it.
No, we can't let Butch do that.
No, it's
which might just
I can drive a car.
let's just
I
get
can
the
drive a
hell
car
out.
badly to kill people. I mean, like
Let's
that's
just
not
get
even
the
a
hell
challenge.
out of here.
I mean, I didn't think we would be able to recover Susan or Daniel, so
Yeah.
maybe we should
So
cut our
take them to
losses
safety.
and get through a blizzard back to the real
I'll
world.
create a diversion and I'll join you back.
I
So
think that I was going to commit suicide anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna run towards a car and try to hotwire it.
We could also,
What I'm worried about, though, is that we leave, yes, we've got Susan and Daniel, but whatever they're doing, is it just going to affect this little place here, or is it going to affect everything?
World.
Is it going to affect...
What do you mean affect? They're a bunch of bananas that are just going to kill themselves
But
for
it's
God or
it's
something.
negative 20
But
degrees
whatever they're
over the
doing
mountain.
is affecting the sun and the weather and whatever they're doing seems to
Right.
be doing something.
But we get over the hills and we call the local constabulary, not the sheriff who's running a cult of Ra.
I don't think
But we send them
any of us should talk to any law enforcement after we
Yeah, we should just get out of
I
here.
don't.
killed a
I don't.
couple people. Or allegedly killed a few people.
I think
In
I think they killed
self-defense.
each other. They're all insane.
even if something is going to happen here, it's going to. I just want to get the hell away from here.
I want to get out, but I'm just concerned about what happens after we get out. But let's get our people out of here.
All right, Butch, what are you doing? Are you still going along with them?
Yeah,
or-
I'm going to take a car. I'm not going with them. I'm going to take a
Alright,
car and try to ram it in and create a diversion or something.
What
Alright,
the fuck are you doing, dude?
As you
Yeah,
guys
so
are
I
going,
jump
Butch just
into a
kind of
car and
breaks
try to
away
hotwire.
and jumps into a car. Butch, give me a luck roll.
I succeed. 30.
The keys are actually still in the car.
That's right.
So
Okay,
you-
well, I'm
So
gonna
I
run
turn
towards
it on, I put it in reverse, I pull out of the parking, and I'm going to drive as fast as possible to the dead center of the crowd.
of the park, you said?
Yeah, of the park. The
Okay.
crowd, like the people, I'm just going to drive straight into them as fast as I can.
Can
Okay.
you even get there? That's halfway across town.
Yeah, but I'm in a car, so I can drive.
All right, so you start trying to go. The rest of you, what are you going to do? Butch
We're
gets up to
screaming
the
at him.
car and-
Stop.
Hey, Petey, I don't know, but something I think we have to stop this. Something in my gut tells me this is bad. This might spread all the way to Atlantic City.
Yeah, I think I'm with Odie. I got a bad feeling about this. I feel like if we try and we can't run away from this problem, I feel like it's just gonna follow us.
If we can't run away from this problem, then we probably can't stop it by running a car into it.
But we're not doing that. That's Butch. But
I'm king of the world!
What do you think that we can do about it? They can resurrect their own dead.
Maybe we could shoot
to me, it's the
storm.
stone. It's the stone that's doing it. If we can get the stone off him, does anyone have a knife? I can sneak up on him and chop his hand off.
You can't sneak up on him. At this point, he's surrounded by hundreds of people.
Yeah, and they're all standing there with their eyes closed, holding hands.
I have
makes-
a knife.
What
but
makes you think that when you touch the stone, you're not just going to become the next guy?
I'm not going to touch the stone.
We
I'm
could
going to
all
cut his
get
hand
into
off
a,
while he's holding it.
we could all get into a car and just run around in a circle, crushing them.
Uh-huh.
The car is going to slow down. He did say today was a special day. Maybe are we close to a solstice or an equinox or something? But if Denby himself said today, tomorrow, yesterday, tomorrow is the day. Maybe if we can disrupt what happens today, we can stop this process.
We've already smashed his glass.
I'm grabbing Odie and taking him aside and saying, we need to get the hell out of here.
I have to say, I'd love to shoot the guy again, too.
Petey, sometimes you just got to roll the dice. I don't know. I'm not saying we go in there and get ourselves killed, but at least we could say we did something.
I don't see that we can't do anything but get ourselves killed.
Well, let's see what happens with Kamikaze. I mean,
it's done.
I wouldn't know that.
Himself.
Let's see what happens with Butch.
Pete, you know, you and I are rational beings. And we've been trying to figure out rationally how this whole thing's happening. I don't feel rational anymore.
Sometimes you don't need to be rational. You just need to get the hell out.
Or succumb to the craziness of the world and try to stop a nightmare from happening.
Well, look.
Because I don't want to burn up in a sun made by a maniac.
Butch, give me a drive auto roll.
If you admit you don't understand it, what makes you think you can stop it? How do you stop something that you don't know how it's happening in the first place?
I succeed.
So you all, as you all are saying this, you know, Butch has already jumped into the car. He gets down. He starts going down, dodging somehow around parked cars and trees, and he hits a bush, and the bush just explodes. But he keeps going through it. And Butch, you get to where Jefferson Avenue is, and you know the car. If you've ever driven a car where it's kind of like bottomed out as it going from one type of terrain to another, that's what happens. The front of the car just jumps up. You can hear, and the rest of you see one of the tires just go flying off, but the car continues to go down, and Butch, you just go start plowing through people. Worshippers just being thrown just all over the place, which give me a sanity check. Actually, everybody give me a sanity.
False god! I say, I'm driving and screaming at them. False gods! All of you have false gods! All of you worship false gods!
So for everybody except Butch, none if you passed, one if you failed.
Whoa! I hit it exactly, 28.
Lucky.
So somehow this doesn't seem as bad as everything else that's been going on.
Robert, you should have punched him a few more times. So
I am the real god. I am the only god. All of you worship false gods. I drive.
Which, did you pass or fail your sand check?
I passed.
Okay, then lose D3.
Yeah, sure.
And you come to a slow crawl about a third of the way into the park. The worshipers, have kind of, backed out of your way, and have kind of made this wide berth around you. But then they kind of close behind you. You can see from where you're from where you're sitting in your car, Denby is standing on the stage. He's holding multiple stones, and he just begins to start to tell everyone to continue to worship, to continue the ceremony, to bring forth the sun god. And as he does that, everybody just holds hands again, almost in unison, and starts to chant. And Butch, where you're at, you can hear everybody, very clearly chanting in some language that you've never heard before. It actually reminds you of the language you heard in the vision at the ship, but the name Azathoth is repeated over and over and over again.
Hey, this is crazy. This is crazy, but if he took out a bunch of them with his car, if we all did the same, how many do they need to have to cast this spell?
You're only going to be able to follow the path that he did, and you'll crash into the back of his car. People know you're coming this time.
But
they don't seem to care.
They're chanting.
Odie, grab a car.
No, Odie, no. Come on.
Odie,
gotta get
grab a car. Here, boy.
I'm your cousin. We got to get out of here.
I'm your
wait,
business
at this
partner.
point, I try standing up,
You guys are
getting
all
out of the
over
car
now.
and see if I can beat anyone and if anyone responds.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing? All right,
I'm trying to get Odie to drive a car.
Daniel Peterson is trying to pull Susan, farther in the direction that you were going. Susan is at this point though is just staring at the crowd and not moving.
That's not
Oscar,
good.
You're able to find a car without an issue. I'm gonna guess that you know how to hotwire a car, so I won't even make you roll that.
Okay.
I think we should get the Petersons out of town, right? And then we'll have done our job here. And then whatever the rest of us do, we can figure out. So
I don't think we've got time to go and then come back.
No, I don't think so either. No, I think it's we get the Petersons back.
Send Peter with them. Get Peter to take them out of town.
I'm not going without Odie. Odie, you gotta come
I don't think there's a getting them out of town. This isn't we get them out of here and they're safe. I think that's completely off the cards.
Well, we don't know that though. We don't know what happens once we get back to snow. If we get one of us.
Remember the kid that came back and he was still nutso?
Oh yeah, Weird Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The effects of what's going on. And we never went to check. We never went to check whether the snow is getting further away. We never went to check. This could be spreading.
Well, that's the thing. I think that it could be spreading, so we have to end it. But right now, I can still see snow all around us, so it hasn't spread everywhere. I don't know what's calling people into this town, because so many have come, and that's scary. But when we got to town, nobody outside knew that Red Valley was a crazy place.
I honestly think if we take out the head honcho, get rid of his stones, the ritual or whatever they think they're doing, it's going to stop.
Well,
right, but remember, I shot the head honcho yesterday and
talk about it.
Yeah, but you shot him when he was still holding his stones. That's what I'm saying. Get the stones off him.
Oh, wait a minute. The bag that Peter has. Maybe if we put the stones in the bag, they can't get to them. Like we can't get to the stones that are in the bag.
That's an interesting possibility, I would say. But I would like to get Susan at least out of here, so that
everybody
have done something.
Give me a spot hidden roll. Butch, you give me a power roll.
Ooh, 17. I spotted it.
36.
I got a hard.
40,
I didn't spot it.
50. So just made it.
You're on mute, Butch.
Hard success.
Okay. So, as you all are discussing, trying to figure out what you're going to do, Oscar is sitting in the car. The car is going. He's, waiting for everybody. Susan takes off. Those of you who made your spot hidden roll, see her just take off down the road faster than you thought her legs could carry her.
And I haven't seen that shit.
You jump out of the car and you start hitting everybody that you can, and you hit one person and they get knocked back, but they immediately stand back up, or they get picked up by the people around them, and you hit somebody else. And as you're doing this, the stone that you're holding begins to glow in your hand, and you can feel the warmth caressing through your body, and you begin to realize that you don't want to leave. In fact, you know that you are the worshiper of the true sun god.
The stone he has in his hand.
And if you are loud enough, then you will be the one who's deemed worthy.
I scream, I take my rock, I hold it as high as possible and say, and I try to scream louder than the other person, than Denby Partridge.
Damn it.
And then I stand on top of my car I stand on, I climb on top of the car and I hold the stone and say, it's a thought.
And as you do that, the rest of you can see, you know, Susan has taken off, and so you're looking down in that direction anyways, and you can see Butch standing on his car, holding a rock in his hand, and the rock is just beginning to glow. And all of them, there are various points around all of the people who are worshiping, including where Denby is, where you start seeing a glowing happen. Everybody give me listen rolls.
Well, we got to go down anyway, just for no other reason than to shoot Butch.
Yeah, I pass.
Nope, I failed.
78.
What was it?
Listen.
To the flower people?
Yeah, I hear something.
All right, if you pass, give me a sanity check.
Okay,
Oh.
Oh, I'm glad I failed.
pass.
I fail.
If you passed D4, if you failed a D6, because you can hear as all this is happening above the yelling of the crowd or the chanting of the crowd, you can hear what sounds off in the distance as if music were playing, some wild, crazy, insane fluting.
Is it the same music I heard in my vision?
Yes.
Tyler.
Okay, shit, yeah.
Okay, so that's a D4 if you failed.
Or sorry,
No,
if
it's
you
a
passed.
D6 if you fail.
But,
Right.
I mean, I failed my listen roll, so what do I roll for failing my listen roll?
Nothing. You're just, yeah, if you failed your listen roll, you haven't heard this yet.
I lost 3 points there.
Okay.
I wanted to interject. Right about the same time, I've been screaming at Odie, "Are you coming with me?" Because I'm leaving. And if his answer is no, I'm leaving, and I'm plugging my ears.
I'm just saying, as soon as I see that, I turn to Odie and go, "Odie, get in the car."
I can't leave my cousin. I have to watch.
Peter, get in the car.
No, I'm heading for the woods.
Okay, you start taking off towards the woods. Give me a dexterity check.
What's that?
Actually, give me a constitution check.
Yeah, pass by 3 points.
Okay, so you're heading up north. What is Robert? What are you doing?
Standing there, waiting to see what everybody's going to do.
Okay, Odie. Peter has just started taking off north. Oscar is sitting in the car.
I have to follow Pete. I'm walking, not running, but I keep looking over my shoulder. Like I'm torn, but I have to go with my blood. You know, I have to watch out for Petey.
All right, Mason.
I heard Butch change again. Did I?
You can see him standing and doing this.
I'm gonna take a shot at him.
Okay.
How far away are we?
Yeah. What type
He's
of gun do
driving
you have?
away, saying Azathoth. Like at the point that I can still hear his voice, I assume he's within 20 yards.
No, you're farther than that.
It's half a mile.
I'm screaming.
You're about 2 blocks away, a block and a half away. So however far that would be.
With a handgun, the max you can get is 15 yards.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a 45, so it's messy.
I'll let you roll, but you're going to need to get
lucky. Yeah,
I've just started driving.
Actually, if I just try for the car, I might be able to stop him from being a further impediment, and I might hit him since he's on the. He said, "What did you say? You were on the roof? You were."
He's on the roof.
I'm on the roof.
So if I just
I
aim for the
was going
vehicle,
to
I have a
stone
chance of.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've started
See
driving.
what happens.
By the way.
Which way?
Oh, it's an 89. So
I've started driving.
I just chucked asphalt.
I've started driving towards Butch because I see the other ones are all being.
Okay.
Yeah, not going to do anything.
Right. So Odie, you're Peter. You've made it to the Jackson Avenue by this point. Odie, you're about halfway there. Kind of half looking back. I kind of picture you almost like Lot's wife. Going a couple feet, turning around and looking. Mason, you take your shot. Robert, you're standing there trying to figure out what's going on when Oscar takes off down the road again.
Well, then I guess I'll get a car too.
Okay. Yeah, you probably know how to. I'm assuming that Robert has hotwired a car in the past. Is that?
I'm sure he has.
Okay. Well then,
in his profession, I'm sure he has. I mean,
it's gonna
body
take
card
you
and all that.
It's going to take you a minute to do that. But you can feel the stone in your hand is glowing brighter, and the warmth is just caressing your body. And as you look up, you can see the sun getting closer and closer, and its warmth just completely bathing you.
I look around. Do I see any of the followers following me?
Yeah, so they've all started to now enclose, get closer to you as they're starting to come in unison with your chanting. Peter, you get to the Jackson Avenue. You turn around and you can see, Odie is coming your way. Mason, after you take your shot, what are you doing? Are you gonna head?
Wait, let me interject there.
Okay.
Actually, you mentioned Lot's wife just a second before I was going to. I know that story, so I'm purposefully not looking back. I'm keeping my eyes away from wherever it's coming. I'll plug my ears.
Just focus on the forest in front of you.
Right in front of me, and I'm trying to get there.
Okay.
And who's handling Daniel at this point? Is he still being...
Daniel has actually started to chase after Susan.
Right. So I'm gonna try to grapple with Daniel and stop him from following his maniac daughter into the abyss.
What is your dex?
80.
Oh yeah. All right. So go ahead and roll. Roll.
30.
Is that a pass for you?
Yeah, it's a hard pass.
Okay. He starts to take off, but you're able to kind of grab him. And are you gonna start pulling him back?
Yeah, and I'm happy to go down on the ground to stop him.
Okay.
And give him maybe a little backhand.
Okay.
Which proved this useful earlier.
Okay. He's just still screaming for his daughter, and you're having trouble kind of holding on to him, but you're pulling him back.
Okay.
Oscar, give me a drive auto check.
Okay. I got a pass. Yep.
Okay. You get down following a very similar path that Butch did. You hit the same kind of bump from the road to the pavement, and then go right into the park, plowing over people again. And you're able to go fast enough and pick up enough speed that you come right in and smash into the car that Butch is on.
Good. That's what I wanted to do.
So both of you, Butch and Oscar, give me dodge rolls. Or no, sorry. Give me dexterity checks.
Yes. I got a 1.
All right.
Okay. I get an extreme success.
All right. So you... so Oscar, you hit. You're somehow you slow to the point where you don't take any damage. You get kind of thrown against the steering wheel. You're bruised a little bit, but other than that, you're fine. Butch, you go flying off, but you end up landing on a number of other people, which kind of break your fall. Robert, you're in the car at this point. It's going, but give me a sanity check because the flute music is now loud enough that you can hear it.
No, I didn't pass it.
And give me a D6 and then roll a D10.
That won't be necessary. I rolled 100.
Oh, all right. So you're behind the wheel of the car. At this point, your mind just breaks.
That brings me down to 18 sanity.
Your mind just breaks. The sun, the oppressive sun, is beating down upon you, and all you want to do now is destroy those who are causing this, and that is the entire park in front of you. Those with the stones, and so you lay down on the gas and just madly go forward as fast as you can into the park.
Sorry.
Mason and Odie. Peter, you're into the woods at this point. Mason and Odie, what are you doing?
I'm trying to catch up to Pete at this point. I'm just like jogging up to him.
I'm wrestling with Daniel. Like I'm getting him, I'm moving him toward the cold as hard and fast as I can.
Give me another brawl roll.
I failed that. 59 for 25.
He breaks free from you and just takes off down, screaming for Susan, running at full speed back down into the park.
And the last we saw of Susan, she just had the crazed light in her eyes again and was racing away.
She has disappeared into the crowd in the park.
Well, I guess I collapse in despair.
Okay.
I mean, I give up on them, and now it's going to take me a minute to get myself together to get out of town.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to when I can.
Okay. Peter, you are in the woods. At this point, you've gotten a good 20 feet into the woods, 30 feet. The sun is still beating down, but you notice that the farther you go into the woods, the more the ground is getting softer and wetter and more moist. Okay. And you can see up ahead of you, maybe 100 feet through the woods. It's very hard to see because the woods are very thick, but you can start to see where it almost looks like there may be snow on some of the trees about 100 feet in front of you.
Okay. Then I'm going to, using my sort of imagination from the map, try to work my way over to where I can get to the main road. So I'm now probably heading down the hill, but outside of town.
So you're going to be kind of swinging east?
Yes.
Okay. You start doing that. Are you going to be heading, directly east, kind of going along going parallel to where that line is, or are you almost like northeast where you're getting closer and closer to it, but going more?
Well, I'm hoping to hit the mining camp road.
Oh, okay. So you're really just doubling back then.
Well, I'm not going to go down the mining camp road. I'm going to cross it and then...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Try to work my way down. I should come out somewhere on the south end of the church camp eventually. I'm doing like a semicircle.
Okay. So to go all the way around that's going to take you... That's probably a good, at least mile or two in order to do that. So it's gonna. All right. So you're gonna.
And my adrenaline's up, and I'm scared, and I'm trying to stay as much in the shadow as I possibly can.
All right. Odie, give me a spot hidden roll, because by this time you get to the edge of the woods as well.
Success? 09.
All right. So you get to the edge of the woods, and at first you lose Peter, but then you see him off in the distance, and you see the direction that he's heading.
Now, if I see him or hear him, then I'll probably wait for him to catch up.
Yeah, I was going to yell out to him anyway.
Okay. So if he yells and if I hear him, let's just roll it. 21. Yeah, I hear you. So I turn around and I say, Odie, come on.
I jog over.
Okay.
Stay out of the sun.
All right. So you guys get there and you're moving as fast as you can, along that way. Butch, you are you were kind of thrown off. You can see the car that causes, and Oscar is kind of sitting there in the front. What are you doing?
Okay, with rage and furious anger, I stand up because I've not fallen down because people are there standing. I say, infidel, and then I try to use all the power of the stone to evaporate him.
All right, Oscar, you see You see Butch doing this, standing, and the stone in his hand starts to glow as he's looking right at you.
So I got an 01 on my on my dex when I
Okay.
crashed. So it was a pretty good dodge. So as soon as I hit, I pulled my gun on him. So could we assume that as soon as he got up, my gun was already trained on him?
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, as soon as he's up and
the
before
code.
he's even said "inf," I've fired.
Okay.
So firearm.
Yeah, go ahead and roll.
Okay.
Before he said "inf."
I got an extreme if I spend 2 luck, which I will do.
All right, Butch, give me a luck roll.
I succeed.
So, Oscar, you line up your shots, you take it, and the go ahead and roll damage. Actually,
Okay,
see what that
so
is.
it's a 1d10 plus 2.
Did you say it was an extreme?
Yeah, I got an extreme. I
Oh, that
spent
would've
luck to get.
That would have been full damage then.
Okay, so 1d2 10 plus 2.
So, but
And
Butch,
I know he's only got 2 hit points.
but you said
No,
you
but
made
the
your
stone's
you said you made your luck roll.
yeah.
So you, Oscar, you line up your shot, you take it, but just as that happens, a number of worshipers just kind of step in front, and the bullet hits one of them, but you had such a good roll that it goes through that person and it hits Butch in the shoulder. Butch, you take 4 points of damage.
Okay.
Is it enough for me, to then get out of the car and dodge his?
You got such a great roll before. I'll say you were able to do that as you were getting out of the car.
Okay. Yeah.
But give me a luck roll.
Okay. 19. I pass.
All right. So as you get out of the car, you're jumping out. You're taking your shot as this happens. As you get out of the car, you see the car just go flying past you as something rammed it. And you look back and you see Robert in a car. He has just plowed through a number of other people and smashed into the back of your car. Robert has this crazed look on his eye, and he throws it in reverse and just starts trying to mow through as many people as he can. Mason, at this point in time, you have kind of come to your senses. What are you going to do? As you look up in the sky, the sun is larger than it should ever be. You can feel just the sweat pouring off of you, and you can actually feel your skin start to bake.
And did I see anyone ahead of me on the escape route?
You know that Peter has gone into the woods. By the time you turn around and look, you can see Odie going into the woods as well.
Yeah, I mean, shade seems desperately needed, so I guess I'll run after them.
Okay.
If I can muster a run.
Okay.
I don't know who else I can shoot.
All right. You start running after them. Peter and Odie, you're running. You get partway through the woods to where your destination is, and the sun is just starting to go through the trees now. Even though it's a very thick woods, the brightness coming through it's almost like you are in a just this brightly lit room where as you're running through the woods, and you can feel the heat, and you can even see some of the pine needles on some of the pine trees that are around you start to smoke and smolder.
Well, then animal instinct sort of takes over. If there is a cluster of rocks or a hidey hole or something, in the rocks, or some way that we can get out from the direct sun.
We just go towards the snow. Let's just keep going to the snow.
But the pine needles are starting to catch fire. It's got to be so hot that exposure to the sun's going to cook us. So all I can think of is getting behind something, even if there's just a berm of earth or something that will block the direction of the sun.
Give me a luck roll.
All right.
Whoever has the lowest of the luck between the two of you.
Oh.
I still have a 70.
Mine's 73, so.
09. Dude, that's the third one I rolled.
So you, as you're running through the woods, you're debating on whether or not to go towards the
mines,
the mines, or towards the snow, and you can see what looks like a maybe an auxiliary shaft from the mines that has been boarded up.
Yeah, let's go down there. If we can get out of this, I think everything's about to become it's all going to be torched.
Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to kind of go through a little bit of narration now as to what happens.
Okay.
Mason, give me one last dexterity roll.
Okay, my dex is 80. Oh, I rolled an 8.
So you are running as hard as you can. The sun is getting larger and larger, and you can just feel the skin on your head and the back of your neck and your arms. Any exposed skin just starts to turn red and start to burn. But as that happens, you get to the edge of the forest and are able to get in. The forest around you is just burning. It's not burning up, but you can see smoke rising from the ground, from the dead pine cones. There are little fires that are going on as the world around you is essentially this bright white light.
And this is the whole sky, I guess.
The whole
it's just
sky.
sort of a bright terror. Okay.
The flute music is just louder than it has been. In fact, all of you can hear this. Butch and Oscar, you are down in the middle of the park. That the worshipers are almost in a frenzy now. They've kind of broken off their chanting, and everybody is screaming in almost ecstasy as they're looking up as the sun is getting closer and closer. Oscar, what are you going to do?
I'm going to bury my clip into Butch.
Okay.
6 bullets.
Yeah, I've already seen him. I already have my hand.
But you got shot.
I'm going to use all my.
Shot.
Yeah, it's the other shoulder. Holding the.
Yeah, but I would have thrown you off.
I use all my effort to vaporize them.
Okay. So
it's going to be a roll.
Yeah, go. Both of you go ahead and roll.
What are we rolling?
Just roll, and let's see what you roll.
I got it. 32.
02. Yes.
Oscar, Butch is holding out the stone, and your blood is going down his shoulder that you shot. He's holding his stone in the other one, looking right at you, and the stone begins to glow, this bright glow, and almost red hot. As the world around you is just this bright white light, making it difficult to see. But you take one last aim and shoot, and it hits the stone. And the stone, right as it starts to do this bright red beam towards you, it explodes. Butch, you get thrown back. The fragments of the stone going into you and around you, it's almost like a grenade exploded. And Butch, as you take that final shot, you can feel the people around you just kneeling down. You can see them kneeling down in worship, and you can feel just the sun baking down upon you as it gets closer and closer. Robert, you are in the car. What are you going to do?
Yes.
Start the shooting, man.
So you get out, you jump to the top of the car, and you just start shooting everywhere. You can see from where you're at, we'll say you're in the middle of the park. by this point, where your car kind of gets stuck on a number of bodies that.
Yeah, a number of speed bumps. It doesn't matter. Just minor.
You can see standing on the platform towards the town hall. From where you're at, you can see Denby Partridge in his, worship along with everybody else, and you take aim at him, knowing that he was the cause of all this, or in your mind, he is the cause of all this. Go ahead and roll.
All right, so that's three shots. One. Well, I got an 02, I got a 49, and I got a 90.
Well, the 02, two of the shots go wild. The one where you rolled an 02 somehow.
Well, technically, the 42 should still hit because it's an 80. I have an 85.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So the first shot hits him. It goes like this. The first shot goes wild. The second shot hits him in the shoulder, kind of spins him around a little bit. He stands up and looks right at you, and that's when your third shot goes off, hits him right in the forehead, and he stands there for a second, and you can see him, and then he just falls forward flat. Mason, give me a luck roll, and then Peter and Odie, give me strength rolls.
You don't want to know what I rolled.
31 is quite good.
Oh.
I got 39 out of 50.
All right. And Mason, what did you get?
31.
Okay.
Which is quite good. Because I have a 60, so it's not quite a hard, but it's quite good.
Okay. So, Mason, you continue off into the woods, heading north as you can, and you get you get to where you can see the snow-covered trees in front of you, 20 feet away from you, but you're almost not able to make it as you can feel just the sun start to immolate everything within Red Valley. Peter, you are able to pull off two boards, but Odie, you somehow you can't get any off, so you have a very small hole to get in. Both of you give me dexterity checks.
Odie, go.
Odie, you have to give me a one with a penalty die.
Okay. First roll in 06, second roll 04.
Wow.
Yeah.
Peter, did you make it?
Yes, I passed.
All right. So
Good luck to the Irish.
Peter, you scramble in. Odie, somehow, despite the fact as you're
slow.
going, you trip, but you are able to just scurry in, and you both just start going back into the mine shaft as far back as you can, because you can just feel this intense heat coming from the entrance. Oscar, Robert, and Butch. Oscar and Robert, you are both standing there, and you can see the sun getting closer and closer, and you can just feel it starting to burn your skin. It burn everything around you. The clothes you're wearing starts to smoke. Butch, somehow you are still just barely alive. You're laying there on the ground, and you can see the sun getting closer and closer, but instead of feeling pain from the heat the burning as everything around you just starts to erupt into flames, you feel a warmth and a oneness with the God that is approaching to come and take you.
I try surrendering myself to Azathoth, and I see if I can channel any last power from the shards of stone that lay within my body.
You can't do anything. The sun comes down, and the entire valley just gets engulfed in this flame, and just everything around the three of you, Butch, Robert, and Oscar, just begin to melt, including yourselves.
Yes!
You are running as
Glory
fast as
to
you can
Azathoth.
towards the tree line. As you get about 10 feet away from it, there is just a huge explosion starting from the center of Red Valley. quickly coming towards you. You can feel the force and the shockwave of heat hit you in the back, throwing you farther into the woods. Go ahead and give me a D8 roll. Mason.
You're mute.
It's a 5 for me.
So you take 5 points of damage as you get thrown into the woods, hitting the tree line where the where the snow is. You're bathed in this almost immediately. You're bathed in this coolness and icy wind as you break through that barrier. Your back is just burnt. The clothes on your back are seared off. You can feel that you have just severe burns all over the backside of your body.
And it's also very dangerous to be very cold suddenly. But I can put my burned back onto snow, I assume.
Oh,
yes. Help a little bit.
Peter and Odie, you make it to about 20 feet into the back of the mine shaft, when it kind of turns to the side, and you dive there as the wood that was covering the entrance just explodes, and this fireball comes through the mine, it going over you. Each of you will take a couple points in damage, but within and all you hear as this happens is the roar of the flames and the explosion, and just over that you can hear the flute music playing, and within moments it's over. There's silence. Eventually you come out, and you look across the valley, and Mason, as you stand up from where you're at in pain, you see this as well. Looking across the valley, you find that it is smoldering. Buildings and automobiles have been reduced to vaguely familiar forms, but are steaming. It looks as if a bomb has just gone off in the entire valley and just completely destroyed everything that was there. Nothing that you recognize from even 10 minutes before is there anymore. The lake has been evaporated. All of the buildings, all of the trees, all of the automobiles, all of the people are gone. And as you stand there looking at the destruction in front of you, a warm rain starts to fall, slowly at first, but then heavier and heavier. And as you stand there, you can see the clouds start to form above you, and the rain begins to turn from warm to cold, and then turns into snow.
Did the rain smell like normal rain?
At first, it smelled like what a warm summer rain kind of does. It had mixed in with its almost acrid smell, but after a couple minutes, as the rain starts to cover everything and the snow starts to come down, it starts to smell like a winter storm smells.
Mixed with barbecue.
You're still dead, though.
And with
time
that,
to walk down a hill.
That is where we will end it.
We're at least a little screwed because we're a little screwed because A, we don't have any winter clothes. B, our winter clothes all got burned up, and
so did all the vehicles.
All the vehicles are burned up.
It's just a handful.
But we have money and alcohol.
And I still have all of the scrolls in my backpack.
Mason, I hand you $200.
Oh yeah, because that's the exact thing I'd want to skate with is the scrolls.
Well, so we'll do one final thing. As you two emerge from the mines and all this happen, and Mason, as you come down, you meet up with each other. You can see each other. You're the only three things that are moving in this entire landscape, and knowing that you need to find shelter or some type of transportation, you head down back into the into town. And when you get to about the place where Pilgrim Park is, the ground is just covered in this ashy, carbony, melted debris. Mason, you kind of kick something and instinctively look down, and all three of you see one of the stones intact, shining below you. And that's where we'll end it.
Start again.
That's scary.
Okay. So now, Tyler, you have to tell us what the hell this was all about.
All right. So, this is kind of a scenario where it is very much a timeline of events that are happening, and the timeline is going no matter what you all are doing. So all the not that any of the decisions you made didn't affect the outcome, because they certainly did, but before you even arrive at the town, this whole thing has been set into motion. And what has happened was, years before, Denby Partridge and the other guy, Arnold Simpson, they were archaeology partners, and you all had known this. Well, one of the last things that they worked together was to find these sunstones. They started finding clues about these sunstones and the power that it could give. And they found the scrolls that Peter had ended up with at the end. And the scrolls tell different parts of of how to either use the sunstones or how to summon the sunstones, or things along those lines. And but Arnold was translating them, but he wasn't moving fast enough for Denby, and so that's when the partnership broke off. And Denby stole one of the scrolls and made a forgery. And the scroll that he stole was the one that told how to create the stones. And in order to create the stones, he needed that pouch. So he had disappeared for a while, and when he kind of re-emerged from a desert somewhere, he had found that pouch, and that's when he came to Red Valley and he started to create the stones. The stones are a way, once you start worshiping them, they're basically a conduit to Azathoth, where they will grant the worshiper. They make the worshiper feel really good, like Butch saw, and anybody else who held the stone kind of saw. And the more you worship them and the more you use them, the more you can kind of tap into their powers, where they can heal you, or they can, like you saw with the sheriff, where he kind of immolated the deputy or whoever else was there. That's you can tap into those powers. But the more you worship with the stones, the more it brings Azathoth to you, the more that it summons him, and the more stones you have, the more the faster he comes. And so what had happened was, Arnold Simpson had come to Red Valley and started creating these stones. And he started selling them, and people started to buy them and use them to worship, and everybody started to worship them in their own way. That's why you saw all of the different almost cults around the area, where some people were worshiping Ra, and some people were worshiping God and Jesus as almost like a sun avatar, and everything else that you saw. And there were cults just all over the place. Some of which you ran into, like you guys ran into the. I think it was the guys trying to make the Roman chariot, and were doing very poorly, and the Native American who was doing it. I mean, there were other ones around there, some more powerful than others. Well, what happens when you guys by the time you guys arrive, Arnold has gone off into the woods to make more stones, and as you're looking around for Susan, that's when the end of all this starts to happen. Denby shows up like you saw. Before he shows up, before you guys met him, he had found Arnold and killed him in order to get the pouch. But he didn't know how to use the pouch because he didn't have the scroll that allowed him the knowledge to do that. And so that's why when you got the pouch, it was all cut up because Arnold or Denby could feel the stones inside the pouch, but he couldn't get at them. And so he tried to cut it up in order to get at them, which made the pouch completely useless. And at that point, he has seen in his visions about how he is going to be the one to bring forth Azathoth and to the ultimate worship. And that's where everything in the park started happening. He was bringing down the glass in order to make, just like you guys guessed, a magnifying glass. But he was going to use that to basically take out all the other cult leaders, so he was the only one left. However, by when you guys destroyed it, he changed his plan and just decided to bring forth the ceremony faster, and that's why the day to night changed so rapidly for you guys, and that's why the sunrise came up so quickly in a matter of maybe half an hour.
When we leave the town, would we find a huge discrepancy in the calendar?
From when you got there, or
when we got? Well, yeah, because we think we've been here 3 days, but
yeah, you probably would have come across somewhat of a discrepancy, maybe by a couple of days or a week. What happens is everybody is just so happy because remember that along the entire East Coast there's just this mammoth snowstorm going on. And Red Valley is this almost like oasis in the middle of it. Everybody just kind of starts to lose track of time, and that's why some people thought it was December, some people thought it was January. They just stopped caring about it.
They stopped caring. Okay.
Right.
Where did Butch get the stone?
When in the park, when Celia attacked Susan, her stones went flying, and Butch was the one who went and grabbed Susan, and kind of off the side I had him make a roll. I think it was a luck roll, and he passed and he found one of the stones.
Did you have Butch acting crazy ever since he touched the first stone?
He was doing that on his own.
I ran it by him. He was like cool, and
I was sure that you passed him a note.
Yeah, no, he was doing it.
If we hadn't spent so much time arguing and we'd gone straight after him, would we have been able to stop it?
No.
Like, have we taken out Butch and Denby?
No. At that point, you would. The only way for you to really do anything is to escape. Right. At that point, the ceremony is too far. It's kind of past like the event horizon of the ceremony, where Azathoth is coming no matter what you do. Now there are ways to stop the ceremony. The two main ways are if you read through the scroll, and you guys never did that. Because Peter, I kept waiting for you to say that because I had told you that it was gonna take you a couple hours to go through it, and you never actually did that.
Damn.
You would have come across a way to basically to reverse the ceremony as it's being performed. However, when that happens, everybody who's holding a stone basically gets destroyed. So then you have to tackle with the moral choice. Do you kill all these people to save everybody else? The only other way to do this, and they mentioned this in the scenario, and this isn't something that I could ever imagine happening, but if you get all of the stones from everybody, then you can stop the ceremony from happening. But in doing that, you're grabbing all these stones and you're feeling all the power yourselves.
Right.
So it's kind of a catch-22 at that point.
Actually, I had intended constantly to read those scrolls, but things kept coming
in the way. Yeah.
Now, the days, were they like 17-hour days, or?
It was just that yeah, so that's exactly what was happening, because Azathoth was the sun and he was coming closer and closer.
Right.
The days just kept getting longer and longer. And when you guys first arrived there, if you remember, you looked up and you saw that the sun was larger than it should have been.
Right.
And so that just is what kind of what that was all about.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and finish it. Our players included Jerry Bryant, Vinesh Ramakrishnan, David Gassaway, Zane Fleming, Jason Melnichuk, and myself, with Tyler Hudak as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We like reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.